Hey guys, what's up? Hey guys, welcome. This is more of a little bit of a different video for me. As you said, there's no face cam, but that's as per usual with the Apex videos. There's never really a face cam in them, as per se. But as you can see, this is a tier list here in front of me, and I've been meaning to make this, just to discuss the meta and, talk about what's been going on, really, with the game. The meta feels really nice right now, and a lot of the characters are usable, but a lot of them are not usable. So we're probably going to go down the line here, starting with Ashe, ending with Wraith. I didn't really double check, but this is a nice list. I didn't really affect it anyway. This is just how it was, but yeah, we're just going to go down the line and really talk about how they affect the meta right now and how usable they really are. Whether you're soloing or you're just with a decent team, that's really where the baseline's going to be. It's going to be based entirely on how effective they are at the game. Like, if we were rating on character, Bangalore would be an F. Alright, come on, that gridiron, it was a good animation, but come on, you can't be that much of an idiot, Bangalore. So goddamn annoying, but holy shit. Fuck, man. Yeah, just it's gonna be in between, like, soloing with them or like solo queuing or like having a good decent squad. We're just gonna presume that the player is decent or has a grasp of the game, and that's really where we're gonna rank them at. Starting with Ashe. Ashe is a character that I play Ashe 90% of the time. She's really fun. She was really supposed to alienate Wraith, but it really hasn't gone that way, because Wraith is still so useful. But her snare, the range on the snare is just rather large. It only does 20 damage, and it's really easy to not get hit by it if you're at a decent range. But the one-way phase tear is really good for positioning, and if you have a coordinated team, you can fly around. And that's the thing, that's why I use her. I can fly around, and she's really great with that, and just hitting, hitting shots. She's really just good, but not like so utility. So she's not really up here, like with the upper echelon, but I'd say she's a solid A, because of the full team rotate that her ult allows, and the snare, if you get lucky enough, is really effective. Like, it's the one thing that stops Valk dead, like stops her dead in her tracks, and that's really fun when you get a Valk with it, because she tries to jump pack it away and she just gets stuck. So I think she's a solid A for me. And as for Bangalore, I know I talk trash on her, but she's really not that great right now. Her double time is it's what it is, and the smokes are annoying, but her ult is not as good as Gibraltar, and she's not as quick or consistent as Octane. There's no reason to really bring a Bangalore. Even if you're soloing, you'd much rather play Octane, because the movement is better and you get the full team rotation with the jump pad. She's really just down here in the dumps. I don't think she's so horrible that she belongs in E or F, because there are some uses, and the smokes can be utilized really well and be used at a high level, so I'd say she's around D tier for me, but she's really difficult to rank. And now we got Bloodhound. Bloodhound is difficult to talk about, because if we're speaking solo, he has the most incredible ult that you could have. The Beast of the Hunt is so useful, and it's amazing. But if you're speaking in threes, there's no reason you don't bring Seer for information, if that's what you want. Because of the heartbeat, because he can stop reses and heals. If we're seeking decent Seer versus decent Bloodhound, you always take Seer. But Bloodhound will forever be useful, and in solos, because his tracking is great and his scan is really good. But I think he's in between B or C for me, and I might lean B because of just how useful he can be in certain situations. And I really don't want to be situational, but there's a lot of situations where Bloodhound is so good. So I would say he's a definite B for me. Now Caustic is very good. His ult is what it is, but the gas traps are amazing. There's not really any other thing to say about that. I mean, he can hold any door without even having to be near the door. He can smoke things off. It's really hard to see through the smoke, you know. If you get a digi threat on him, you're really just golden. His ult obviously is alright, but like it highlights enemies. I mean, he's really just really good. He's just utility. He's perfect. He's big. Takes 10% less damage, and he doesn't take other caustic traps. So he's good for fighting himself, which is really odd but great. And I think he's gonna be the first S tier character for that reason, because he is so utilized, be able to be utilized by any person. He's very easy, and he's very straightforward, and he's really good. And for Crypto, another one of the guys up here in the attic of the ratings. The utility, again, is rather good. I would probably put him in front of Caustic in S tier right away, because the drone can be abused until the moment Crypto dies. He can res, he can pick up banners, he can use recon, use the recon beacons, he can EMP for 50 damage. It's only 50, but that's still, like, that's a good chunk. And he doesn't have to, the sitting in the corner, but if you know where everyone's at, and you just leave the drone in a good spot, and it's like during a fight, and you can see everything, it's just the utility is off the charts. He is so usable in every situation. He's great. There's no reason not to use him if you're really trying to win. And the utility is unmatched. I mean, you don't even have to be on the drone to do the res. It does the res automatically. And if you pair that with a mobile respawn, you can essentially be a walking unit of reviving. He's really good. And as for Fuse is what he is. I mean, the Knuckle Cluster is the most situational tactical in the whole game. The extra grenade thing is really not that crazy, because if you get some coordinated, like a couple grenades, it's not as special as what he has, but it's not crazy. The Knuckle Cluster, you can eat the Knuckle Cluster all day. He's really situational. His ult is something to behold when used correctly, but it's very rarely used correctly. And he's really just not great in the meta. He never really has been, and he's always just kind of been this basement guy. I don't know if E or F is really where I want to go. He's also genuinely, like, uninteresting. Like, I haven't been ranking on characters, and that's not really affecting this, but he's just not fun to be around or play with. So I'm gonna actually put him in F. The first F tier character is Fuse. Gibraltar. So Gibraltar, he's in between Caustic and Crypto right away, straight in S. So useful, opening up the skies, one of the better ults, 10% less damage like Caustic. The bubble, useful. The fast reses, get him a gold bag, and you're set. He's like I said, just useful in every situation. He's got something for everything. The arm shield soaks up a bunch of damage. There's no reason not to have a Gibraltar on your team, really. He's just so good. He really genuinely is really good. I mean, you, like, say you bring that 3, you just bubble, throw things, and just have Crypto, like, scout. He's just a utility guy. He's not gonna go fly around and get a 20 bomb 4K damage, but if you want to win, you bring a Gibraltar, and that's just the useful and the utility that he brings. Horizon was very good, but not anymore. Horizon is on par or worse than Bangalore. Her tactical is so easy to just spray her down if it's a bad Horizon. It doesn't really catch anyone out. The ult is just lackluster. The extra sliding doesn't matter because you can jump, you can punch boost now. It's really not worth the time and effort that it takes to get her abilities to work. It's just not. It's not fun to play her. I'd say she's worse than Bangalore. But I think they're on level. I think they'd be around the same. Lifeline. has been through so much. Lifeline has had so many iterations, and she's been really the most stranded character because she's the only healer. They haven't given her any help, and they really just need another healing character because she just keeps getting messed with, and people are going to be happy, but they're not. They just need to do a whole new healing character to give her some slack. I mean, the way the reses work right now are pretty balanced, and I think they work well. Because she doesn't obviously have to be there, and the heal drone is what it is. I mean, it gives you health. It always has. But her ult is awful. It got a little bit of a buff, but it's really not great. So I would say she's below Bloodhound, probably, because I would rather. I mean, it's like that's the thing. Like, do you need a lifeline though? Not necessarily. Like, heals do come in, not in bunches, but they do show up in abundance throughout the game, and it's like she's just such a situational, like, working character. You need a really good player to have a lifeline to really work. So I would say under Bloodhound in B tier. Loba's so meh. I mean, she's great at what she does. The loot goblining is fun and can be utilized really well if done correctly, but I mean, it's not worth it. Her bracelet's kind of the biggest meh. If you're good with the bracelet, you can do some really crazy good plays, but I would stick her right in the smack dab middle of everyone because she's so meh, but can be used right. Mirage. Ooh, I mean, it's so hard to judge Mirage because it's based entirely off of who you're playing against. You could be playing against Preds, who will never shoot your bamboozle, or you could be playing against Bronze 4s who just picked up the game. It's so situational, and that's the same thing with Fuse, but I think he's a little more fun, and his ult really is genuinely difficult to take on no matter what level of play you're at. And the Invisares is kind of useful. So I would say under Horizon or in E. I would say under Horizon in D. He's got his uses, but the situational need for it is such a big, I don't like, such a big who knows, you know? It's not great. Octane. Octane is upper echelon. He's got the full team rotate. He's got his self movement, but he's notorious for being bad and getting his team killed because of the push. I mean, there's never going to be another movement character quite like him. He's really just good for getting into fights and getting out of fights quickly. If you're a great player, you can destroy whole teams with Octane and then disappear in a flash. But I would still say that the utility of Ashe is a little bit higher and a little bit more useful with the full team rotate because of the high ground and also the noise that the jump pad brings. So I would say that Octane is an A below Ashe. Pathy's bottom S right now. Pathy's bottom S. There's obviously, like I said about Octane, there's never going to be another movement character like him. He was nerfed a long time ago for his 35-second or whatever zipline, but he can get the whole team around. He can get high ground on you immediately, and obviously he was the first to use recon beacons. He's just insane with the movement. The straight grapples, the swing grapples. If you are a good Pathy, you can tear people apart. He's just genuinely incredible. So fun to play. Bottom S. Doesn't bring as much as these other guys here, but definitely S tier. Rampart is top A, 100%. Not S for a couple of reasons, but straight into top A because she just got that buff. Nobody's touched her, but the walking Sheila is so good. That ult is so good. I mean, you can hit from so far. It does so much damage. It's so good. And 5 shields, like if you're just a little trashy little kid and you just hide in a corner and you get your 5 shields and you have your walking ult, it's just so annoying. And if you get a Spitfire, like the recoil in the ammo and just, oh, the buff really just shot her to the moon. I don't think she's S tier because of how stationary she becomes with all those things, but I think that she's definitely top A. Revenant is above or behind Loba? I think above Loba, in right smack dab in the middle, because he's a big meh. The Death Totem got buffed a little bit. It gives you more health, but it's so just meh. The silences don't even feel great, really. Silence doesn't do that much to you. He's just kind of meh. His passives are what they are. I mean, fast crouch walking, and climbing. If you want to argue that bringing him for climbing is what you want to do, then you should not be playing the game, because if you're any good at the game, or like awareness, you'd see that you can get to anywhere he needs to go by just climbing on things regularly. Just it takes a fraction of a second more. And if you want to bring a whole character to negate that, then that's on you, man. He's just so meh. When used correctly, it works, kinda. He's the biggest meh. Seer is cheating. Seer cheats. He's a little cheaty guy, behind Octane and A, I'd say. He's just a wall hacker. The heartbeat thing is overpowered as hell. He can stop reses. He can stop your healing. It's so annoying. His ult just shows you where everything is happening. The heartbeat passive, and he can use the recon beacons. He's just really annoying to play against. He's really good. He's not S tier because of how the tunnel effect. That's the only thing really keeping him back, is the fact that it's a tunnel, and you have to aim it precisely to get what you need done. Other than that, he's broken. He's really good. If you can be effective and efficient with him, you'll go very far in the game. Valk is the greatest character in the game. Now here, let me tell you why. Valkyrie has the most abilities in anyone in the game. If we just start from the dropship, when she falls out of the dropship, she knows where everyone near her is going. The ping is incredible. She can fly on her own, rotate herself. She has rockets that don't do a ton of damage, like at all, but the stun is forever. She can full team rotate with the skyward dive. She uses recon beacons, and like I said, if you just find a jump tower and fly it and just abuse that and ping, you can just push kills all day and win. She's so broken. She's a team character that's also an assault that can use recon. It's not fair. She doesn't need all these abilities. She deserves to be nerfed. But that's the thing. She's not unstoppable. The fuel really limits her on the jumping. And like I said, the rockets do no damage. But she can be stopped. That's why the meta feels so good, because if everyone played Valk and Valk was that crazy good, no one would want to play the game. But all the guns feel kind of really good right now, and Valk can be definitely stopped. Like I said, Ashe can stop her. She can be... I think the EMP stops her. I don't know if Seer does, but she's so easy to laser in the air too when she's strafing, and it's like they really put that together well. But she does not need that many abilities. She can spare some. She's the best character, hands down, like untouchable. Watson is pretty bad. I would say E. Her fences are what they are. They do stun. They don't do a ton of damage. They're really easy to stop. Her ult regen shield, but it's so slow. It's slower than Octane's passive heal. It's not worth it. The trophy system is kind of like not worth it in this at all. I mean, Apex is a battle royale. It's not really worth it to just sit in the corner with a trophy system. It's not really fun or exciting or even that good, really. She's just kind of a really just not playable character right now, and that kind of sucks, because she just got her heirloom, and her heirloom sucks also. So it's not really fair to her. And that brings us to our final character, and that is Wraith. Wraith stays one of the best assaults in the game. Where does she go? That I do not know. She is so useful if you have your best player playing Wraith. Yeah, it takes longer to charge your thing now, and yeah, the portal is kind of sucky because it's 2 ways, but the kidnap plays are there. She can negate arc star sticks. She can go unseen. She's really just so useful if you are able to get creative. She opens up your offense by a large portion. Like, you become such a different offense if you have a Wraith main who can play, like, make plays. She is the playmaker. She's the quarterback of the team. Like, she can do really anything, and it's kind of just hard to rank her because it really depends on who you have playing Wraith. But I think just for the ability alone, she is the second in S tier. Because if you have a top tier player at Wraith, like especially with the small frame and the ability to use kidnap plays and all that happy horseshit, she's just so far beyond what any other character can bring. I like these rankings. I don't really think there's anything I would change. Maybe Rampart to S, to bottom S, because she is very good. Lifeline and Bloodhound I like. I like these guys in the basement. I think this is alright. I think these are a good spread of where it's at, really. I mean, there's no real like rhyme or reason to my list other than personal opinion, but I think that this is a good list. I would say this is not the definitive list, obviously, because I don't know everything. But I think this is a good list. I would say that definitely Valk, you cannot move me on Valk. Valk is 100% the best. Untouchable. Like I said, Wraith can move around in S tier, but other than that, I could only see Rampart moving up to S, or maybe even Pathfinder moving out of S, just because of the other playable characters that are in S. But other than that, like, I don't see anyone moving up or down. You could argue Bloodhound is under Seer in A, but I would not move that. I would keep Bloodhound where he is at, because you would much rather have a Seer, because he's Bloodhound on roids and he's a hacker. Other than that, I think that's a good list for me. I just want to thank you for watching if you somehow made it this far. I love you guys, man. Peace out.